trips into the love room, a fascination with Emertentia potion, and some odd potions ingredients requisitioned from the Ministry. What in the world is Grimfally doing? Here we go.
We don't know. All we got are suspects. My job, find out who.
Hey there, Wizarding World. My name is Zoe. This is Snitches and Witches, and welcome to Storyline Saturday, where we talk about the storyline of Harry Potter Wizards Unite, do a deep dive into the research, and take a peek inside my Calamity Journal, which I'm scared of because it's growing. This is a series strictly for talking about the facts. We're gonna keep the theorizing to a minimum, but if you wanna theorize with me and other like-minded amazing people, then you should join the underground because we have a lot of fun over there. Hashtag GG is over party. We are finally covering the first page of the Mysteries Registry, which is under that little Deathly Hallows sign in your registry page. So if you haven't completed any of that, or if you haven't done any of that, hashtag spoiler alert. You don't want it spoiled, then why are you here? We're gonna quickly recap what we know so far. The Wizarding world is facing its greatest threat of exposure since the time of Voldemort during the Second Wizarding War. There are artifacts, creatures, heroes, memories being pulled out of people's brains, out of space-time, out of the physical place they're supposed to be, and they are getting scattered all through the world. The theory is that the perpetrator of this is a man named Grimfally, whose wife disappeared with the incident known as the London Five, where 5 witches and wizards across the Wizarding world disappeared within the time span of about a couple of hours. Grim's motivation is possibly the Ministry's failure at recovering his wife. The calamity is rapidly spreading through the rest of the world, and the Ministry of Magic seems to be spearheading with the initiation of a group known as the SOS Task Force. This is headed by Constance Pickering, who is a junior undersecretary, to combat the calamity without breaking the entire budget for everything. The Ministry has recruited unpaid volunteers. Well, kind of unpaid. We get a little bit of something. But it seems that Hermione Granger, Harry Potter, Ron Weasley, Kingsley Shacklebolt, and Gareth Greengrass all have quite a bit to do with it, along with a few other people. And the last known location of Grimfally was Prague. If you need to know the rest of that, there's a playlist, so go watch those videos before you watch here. It's very helpful to watch these in sequence because then you know what the heck is happening. One of the first things that you collect is this issue of the Daily Prophet, a clipping from a very old edition of the Daily Prophet. The victim, Hamish Steed, was under Ministry protection at the time of Flannery's murderous rampage. After several hours of interrogation, Flannery admitted that he used an ancient spell to track down his greatest desire, which happened to be the location of the late Steed. Someone really used a spell to track down their murder victim? That seems impossible, and one must not forget that the Prophet has a long history of exaggeration. Funny, we keep records of all their issues, but this one appears to be missing from our archives. Obviously, this is one that was taken by the calamity, and we have returned it to our notebook, but it is apparently significant. So we have 2 new characters added to this, Hamish Steed and just a guy named Flannery. And guess what? Because these are characters just truly centric to this. I have no information on either of these guys. All I can say is that Flannery is apparently Irish for red eyebrows. Apparently this man had very aggressive eyebrows. Hamish means supplanter, and Steed means a man of metal. So he supplanted a man of metal, but he also was apparently brutally murdered. So it was quite the winning streak you get going there, Steed. I shouldn't make fun of people who are dead. I'm sorry, even fictional people. The cool thing about these issues of the Daily Prophet that we see popping up is that if you zoom in on them, they have zodiac aspects for the day, which if you can kind of pinpoint the general span of when these came out, you could actually, by the arrangement of those planets, if you know how to do that kind of charting, you could pinpoint the day that this issue came out. The problem here is, it's really hard to read. The spell to track down your greatest desire sounds an awful lot like the enchantment that would be put on say, I don't know, the Mirror of Erised? Enchantments can either be temporary or they can last thousands of years, as we see with a lot of the magical artifacts, which were normal things that then became enchanted. It could be that you could enchant an object permanently with this spell so that it would just show you what your greatest desire was. But if you cast it on yourself, then it like guides you to that thing. We're gonna dive into Grimfolly's journal because that is some of the more fascinating things that I have seen. The first entry, finding the spell. A journal entry written in the small, cramped handwriting of Grimfally. There's a rumor of a very old outlawed spell meant to find what one desires most, and I may have found it. I do not believe it will bring Penelope back, not on its own, but maybe I can combine it. So we know that Grim is going to take the finding spell and combine it with something else. Good. Combining spells to bring back a loved one. It's genius in a mad sort of way. Daft, but brilliant. I can't believe Grim would risk the entire wizarding world just for one person. He'd lost his wife, Constance. Of course he'd do anything. Constance. Pay attention to some of the things that Constance says, because this, combined with some of the stuff that she said in the Brilliant events, it doesn't hit right. It hits weird. From this journal entry, we can tell Grim has cramped, small handwriting. He's very efficient. He uses as little paper as possible to get as much information on a sheet of paper as possible. We just read about this spell that brings you to your heart's greatest desire, so obviously this is the spell that Grim found. Grim's handwriting is cramped and frantic in a page of his journal. I don't know if it's the love room that's causing it, but I feel closer to you here, Nell. When I'm in here, I know you're alive. It's as if you're just on the other side of the door, and all I have to do is open it. Is the spell the key? It's possible his mind was affected by the love room. Y'all think? Is that room dangerous? We cannot know. There's a reason we aren't called the Department of Things We Know completely. He spent many hours in that room. I got complaints. I can't help but feel responsible. I gave Grim permission to use that room in the first place. Maybe I should have kept a closer watch on him. Now we see a description of Grim's handwriting being cramped and frantic. He's slipping, he's losing it, he's spiraling. He's also spending tons of time in the love room, according to Gareth, which... Gareth. The love room is a room in one of the Department of Mysteries' room of rooms, which we have just seen in this last Brilliant event, the Battle of the Department of Mysteries Part 1. We know that the love room is where the Department of Mysteries and the Unspeakables are essentially studying at the effects of Amartentia. They say that it's to study love, but Amartentia, as we know, doesn't actually produce true love. It produces obsession. It is not love. Love is in fact almost impossible to recreate inorganically, which is why the ancient magic that protects Harry, his mother's love, is unprecedented. A lot of wizards don't know about it. We also know that even just the fumes of Amartentia has an effect on people. We see this in Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. So if you're sitting in there sleeping, thinking about your missing wife in fumes that create obsession, I bet you it's doing really bad things to your brain. The next one is a note written in swirling handwriting. Now, what would Greengrass think if I told him that his protege was skulking about the love room after hours? I didn't think you'd be so quick to move on, but your secret's safe with me. Remember to be careful, Grim. Next time, it may not be me who finds you in there sleeping. Regina. Regina Roll is an unspeakable. She's also, paradoxically, one of the Ministry's greatest gossips. She's implying that he was using the love room to move on from Penelope, but that doesn't sound like Grim. Swirling handwriting. And this brings up the wonderful study of graphology. Graphology is the study of handwriting and how it pertains to your personality. And I am not a graphologist. I don't know these things. I need to do some handwriting assessments on this to see what swirling means. I don't have a sample in front of me, so I don't know how it swirls, and that's a little bit of a problem. But I bet you she thinks she's real fancy because of her swirly letters. This isn't even like sneaky blackmail. This is just like, I find you in here again and I'm gonna tell Greengrass. And apparently she's a giant gossip as an unspeakable, which, if everybody knows that she's a giant gossip, how did she get cleared to be an unspeakable? Gareth, I have questions. Penelope's disappearance. An entry in Grimm's journal. Nell, it's killing me. You always said I was stronger than I knew, but I don't know how to be strong without you. Harry told me to trust in the Aurors, but they are failing miserably, and they're staying so safe. Everything is by the book. If there was something I could do, some kind of magic to bring you back, I'd use it in a heartbeat. Grimm was desperate, especially after the investigation was called off. He had all kinds of ideas. We tried everything to track down Penelope and the other members of the London Five, followed every lead we could. People don't just disappear like that. There's always some explanation, but this time there was nothing. We're still looking for them. It's unofficial, please don't mention it, but I'll look for them until I find them. Of course, good guy Harry is, just gonna keep digging until he finds the truth. Grimm does expect the Aurors to not do things by the book. It's kind of how they operate. A lot of Aurors don't like operating by the book, but the fact that now they're being so safe is what's putting him off. It's out of character, which yeah. He implies at this point that he's still looking for something to bring Nell back, so I would put this before him finding the spell, personally, if we're looking at a timeline. The coded message. An entry of letters nonsensically strung together. String of nonsensical letters written at the bottom of the page. Remember, dinner at 8. If you are interested in decoding this for yourself or watching somebody use a book cipher to decode this, you need to go check out Lynette's video where she breaks down the entire decoding process. I'm not gonna do that here because time. Oh yes, I've seen these before. It's some sort of muggle puzzle game. You find the words in a book or something. Why would Grimm be using a muggle puzzle game? Well, it seems that he and Penelope used it with each other. He must have written this note for her. Whatever's on it isn't meant to be easily read, that's for certain. So, if you decode it, then the message reads, you know what this night means to me, 5 years, exclamation mark. Originally, they actually changed this, and originally the message was, they are watching everything, I need to be more careful. Do we follow the new one or the old one? I say both. Diving into this big old folder of ministry memos. A memo from Grimfally addressed to Gareth Greengrass, requesting access to the love room within the Department of Mysteries. The request was granted. Yes, I remember this. Prior to his wife's disappearance, Grimm never showed an interest in the love room. Okay, so we know that this was after Nell disappeared. Poor man, he was completely beside himself when Penelope went missing, after his wife disappeared with the rest of the London Five, right? Constance, you're not a very good interrogator. This is the wrong question to ask. Yes, dreadful thing what happened to her. Gareth. Oh, Connie! She should not have been like, oh yeah, London 5, right? Don't reiterate something that we already know. It's completely useless. It's a completely dead-end way of asking questions. Keep him on track. Keep leading him down so that he actually tells us something useful. Not just, oh yeah, it was terrible. What happened to Penelope when she disappeared? No, the question to ask here is, why did you give a grieving husband access to a giant vat of Amortentia potion, which will totally drive him crazy? It's changing the subject. I don't know how the Department of Mysteries works. I don't know, but I know how bureaucracy works. And I know for a fact that if you want access to an area or something that you don't originally have access for, there's a form for that. You don't submit it in a memo, be like, bro, can I have access to this totally awesome place, which will definitely drive me crazy because I'm gonna fall asleep in there repeatedly despite the fact that I have 2 small children at home? Yeah, bro, totally. Here's also a port key to Prague for no sensible reason whatsoever either. Where's the form, Gareth? This is a juicy one. This is where things are gonna get interesting. The ingredients invoice. Do you see this page? Do you see this page? This page. An order from Grimfally to the Ministry of Magic Remittance Office requesting a number of potion ingredients, including baneberry, Jobernol Feathers, and unicorn hair. Shows what Mr. Folly knew. There's no known potion that uses all these ingredients. Is it possible that Grimm was trying to create his own potion? Something completely new? Invent his own potion, Grimfally. Hogwash potions are a delicate art. A simpleton can't just throw together whatever's in the pantry and expect results. If potion mastery were simple, everyone would do it. That's Gethsemane for you. She's rough around the edges, but the woman is an incredibly practiced master of potions. She's amazing. She's done her work. She's gained recognition in her field. Well done. She's also completely ignorant to the facts. Later, we're going to find out that Grimfally is not, in fact, a simpleton. He is, in fact, stupid, wicked smart. But we're going to focus on the ingredients that Grimfally asks for, and oh no. So first one is baneberry. Baneberries IRL look like this. They grow on trees. In fact, we have them here in Alaska. Baneberries are poisonous. In fact, they contain a cardiogenic toxin which affects the tissues and muscles around the heart, slows the heart rate down. One berry probably won't kill a fully grown adult, but they definitely will kill doggos and small children, so don't eat those. In an adult, it might slow down your heart rate enough so that you would go into cardiac arrest, and that's not what you want at all. If you use just enough of the cardiogenic toxin, maybe you could slow your heart rate. We also see this used in trace detection tonic, which is used to reveal things around us. So we're using baneberries to slow our heart rate so we can focus. Then we have Jobernol Feathers. Jobernols are a small blue bird that says nothing for its entire life until it dies, and then upon its death it lets out a screech that is every single thing that it's ever heard backwards. Nightmare fuel. If you look it up online, it's actually used in truth serum and in memory potions. And the last is unicorn hair. This is again a potion ingredient that we have in Wizards Unite, and it's used in potent Extimulo potion, the strongest of the Extimulo potions, which enhances our magic. Unicorn hair is also used in beauty products, so I don't know, like restoring some sort of youthfulness, making something more powerful. Gethsemane says that nothing can be made from this. She's a master potioneer and all. I have so much respect for her, but she doesn't know everything. A memo from Grimfally requesting the use of a port key, travel destination, a library in Prague. The request was approved. Again, he's sending this in a memo. I really hope he had the proper forms attached. Grim was extremely adamant about traveling to Prague. I never understood why he would need a port key. Why not just apparate? What happened to the port key? We still have it. No one knows when one will need a quick jump to Prague. Oh, is that right? Oh, he never told me what he was looking for in that library. Well, now we know. Useful little tool you got there. Can I borrow that port key there, Gigi? You mind? It would be so helpful. Interlibrary loan. Request filed by Grimfally for an interlibrary loan for an ancient tome. Request denied. Appeal filed. Appeal also denied. It's unusual for a request to be rejected, but the paperwork here is so very vague. I've never heard of this book. Some special research for the unspeakables, perhaps? Listen, if Sage doesn't know what the hell you're talking about, you up a creek without a paddle. Not to my knowledge, he shared nothing with me. Grim was very secretive. Given that he was the obvious source of the calamity, that is unsurprising. Thanks, Gethsemane. Gethsemane? God, I don't freaking know. Gethsemane. Upon being unable to acquire this book through normal means, then Grimfally just is like, fine, I'm gonna come to you, and he hops on a port key. We're gonna jump down really quick to this other thing that is incredibly fascinating. Amoret Deneuve, a handwritten letter from Amoret Deneuve to Grimfally. What makes us yearn for the comfort of others? Why does a broken heart hurt so? Love imbues itself into our very bones, our very souls. I believe that love is the greatest and most dangerous magic in the world. Along the margin, in cramped handwriting, reads, imbued into our very bones. Used to find her, question mark? I'm worried. You're doing me a heckin' concern. Amoret Deneuve is the foremost expert on love potions and spells. I've read all of her books. I've even got a signed copy of First Love, First Loss. Grim used to tease me for putting my faith in such sentimental blather. Strange that he would contact her like this. I'm worried. It's like 80% of this game is just me going, I'm worried. Amoret is a French name that means little love. And then Deneuve is Italian and it means try some grapes. Little love, you must try some grapes. Nailed it. Constance mentions that Grim used to make fun of her and then has this complete 180 and decides he's going to write an expert on love potions. Grim is getting completely desperate. He's trying to figure out why the love potion is making him feel so close to his wife. And so he's digging and he thinks that he found the information he needs. Again, I say this is very concerning. The incident report. An incident report with the Ministry of Magic, a wizarding library in Prague, reports that several ancient spellbooks have gone missing. The librarian believes the thief was a recent visitor. I'll eat my wand if this thief wasn't Grimfally. I wonder if the library has records of its visitors from the day those books went missing. My sources in Prague tell me they did an internal investigation and have no leads. Oh, really? And since the calamity, they've been extremely territorial. If they do know the thief, they're not sharing with us. Awfully convenient. Several books have gone missing. He took multiple books that contain ancient magic and spells of a dangerous nature that they wouldn't just send him normally. He had to go there, find the books, and take them. And then Greengrass coming in and being like, nope, no, it's just trust me. Nope, it's fine. No, don't bother trying to contact with them. They're incredibly territorial and definitely won't speak to you, peasant. No. That's not a lame excuse at all. Don't look behind the curtain. An ancient, dusty tome, hand-stitched together and covered in stiff, worn leather. Its contents are written arcane, faded runes. There are pages ripped from the center of the book. My word, this is an extraordinary book. See how it's been bound by hand? These spells are centuries old. Do you think this might be where Grimfally discovered the Foundables Spell? It's impossible to be sure. There's an entire section of this book that's been ripped out. Cannot be ruled out. Oh, that's the book that he used to possibly make this spell? Can I no, it's just gonna go over there in the evidence case? Okay. I can't even read it for context? No? Okay, that's fine. I didn't need to. And there you go, there is chapter 1. Of course, I have so many theories. We're gonna sum this up really quick. So, as of right now, who started the calamity? Still looking like Grim. Still, don't get too attached to that one. Why did the calamity start? Well, we think it's because Grim wanted to get his wifey back. He's very, very, very intent on that. He discovers a spell that brings you to your greatest desire, and he sees this from the Hamish versus Flannery incident. Murder. Grim may be using Emartentia in some way to find the spell, maybe to focus him on the thing that he needs in order to find, like, he's focusing on her very intently, so that might be it. Why he's using the Emartentia. He also developed his own potion out of random crap that nobody knows why it all goes together, but Grim's sanity is also definitely slipping. We're seeing him fall further and further into the obsession as he's spending more and more time in the love room. Prague. Frickin' Prague, man! And we have the book that he used to possibly make the spell, but apparently I'm not allowed to read it or even attempt to translate the runes. Thanks. How do we stop the calamity? Well, still don't know. We gotta find Grim. Our suspect list, which at the top right now is Grimfally, with a very second place to this guy. I'm gonna keep building my case against him because I don't like it. And then also very high on this list is Regina Roll. The low-key blackmail here is it's thrown up some red flags. I don't have any concrete evidence. I don't like her odds. Next week, we are again going to break from this and we are going to do a deep dive into Prague. If you want to kind of get a jump on that, Gita Lovegood, Lynette from Wizard PhD, and myself did a live stream before the game came out talking about Prague and why Prague has so much hype around it. So if you want to get a jump on that, make sure to go and watch that live stream. It was super fun. We enjoyed researching that. So next week we're going to discuss the significance of Prague and why I think that it is the least great place for you to send a wizard who has a break with reality and is not doing so good after the death of his wifey because, oh my gosh, there's a lot happening in Prague. Remember to join the underground. If you want to go and discuss more of these theories with myself and other amazing people like Lynette from Wizard PhD, then you need to join the underground where we talk about all sorts of cool stuff. So Go check us out there. Welcome to the end card. Once again, thank you very much to my patrons on Patreon. If you like this, then you should totally go check me out on Patreon. Or if this video was helpful, click the like button and subscribe for more, because we do this a lot around here. Remember, I love you always. Okay, see you next week.